And now to our coverage of the arts. Day after day, throughout October, tech-savvy New Yorkers went online first thing in the morning to learn about the latest work of art done by a Brit known only as Banksy. While street art is technically illegal, a form of vandalism, the mystery man's works are widely admired, even by some police. They're also now very valuable. That raises the question, does commercial success somehow undermine what is essentially a subversive form of expression? NewsHour's Tracy Wolf reports.
New York City is a mecca for art, but the latest exhibit drawing crowds isn't located in a museum. This exhibit is taking place on the streets of the 5 boroughs, in places you wouldn't expect art to hang. This particular work is called Waiting in Vain at the Door of the Club, and is actually a piece by a man who goes by the name Banksy, an English-born street artist who prefers to remain incognito. In case you're curious, this was not a commissioned piece by the club owner. In fact, Banksy didn't have permission to paint the door. It's a work of street art, an illegal painting, or what some might consider vandalism.
The twist in the Banksy story is that when he vandalizes your property, its value goes up instead of going down. That is not related to aerosol or wheat pasting.
Stephen P. Harrington is editor-in-chief of BrooklynStreetArt.com, a website that documents street artists like Banksy and many others all over the world.
What is street art?
Street art is an outgrowth of the graffiti tradition, which began in New York and Philadelphia, depending on who you speak to, in the 60s and 70s. It is now encompasses all manner of art making, put in the public space, usually illegally.
During his residency in New York last month, Banksy produced a piece a day, capturing the attention of the public and media, which tracked his every move. What sets him apart from other street artists is that Banksy pieces are highly sought after and extremely valuable, like this oil painting entitled The Banality of Evil, that sold at auction this week for more than $600,000, money that was donated to charity. A handful of street artists have graduated from the street to the auction house, but as the popularity of the movement grows, some worry that its subversive nature is being lost.
It's not the same street art that it used to be. It may shape-shift and become subversive or transgressive again in a new way. But right now, all eyes are on street art, and it's being adapted into many commercial uses.
So what sets street art apart from graffiti? Although they can appear similar, graffiti artists primarily use aerosol spray paint to write lettering and text, whereas street artists use all manner of mediums to express themselves.
This is Invader, and the French artist. Those are made of Rubik's Cubes, and
To buy all those Rubik's Cubes and solve the puzzle first.
yeah, that's right. Yes, and he can.
Street artists also use stickers and stencils, as well as sculpture and even live installations, like this Banksy truck, filled with squeaky toys that has been driving around Manhattan. But a major element of street art is the illegality of what the artist is doing, preparing and posting art on private or public property while trying to avoid authorities.
Yelling City Park Rangers, you are trespassing on private property.
What is it? It's a ticket. The court date is January 2nd.
But because of street art's growing appeal, many landlords are now inviting artists to paint their walls, like this block in Brooklyn that was finished last week. The landlord provided the paint, and the artists decorated the walls for free. So is it still street art if it's legal?
People will vary on what the definitions are, but because I always say that it came from graffiti, graffiti is largely done illegally. It's based on this idea of being transgressive or being a vandal. And true street artists consider that a very important part of their practice.
And the threat of being arrested may explain why knowing exactly who Banksy is remains a mystery today.
A few quick footnotes. 3 men were arrested in Queens yesterday for trespassing. They're accused of trying to remove large inflated letters Banksy attached to an abandoned building. To see all the works of art Banksy created during what he called his residency in New York, go to newshour.pbs.org. You can find an international street art tour there as well.